Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Our theme for today is love. Of course, ultimately, every one of our messages is about love. God's love for us and our love for one another, and the love we are called to have for the world for which Christ died. However, we are going to focus a little more intently than normal on the meaning of love today. In our lesson from John's Gospel, we read these words, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command. Love each other." Now, I would like to begin with one of the most beautiful love stories that I know. It is the story of the courtship of Moses Mendelssohn, the grandfather of the great German composer Felix Mendelssohn. Now, Moses Mendelssohn was a small man with a misshapen, humped back. One day he visited a merchant in Hamburg who had a lovely daughter. Though Mendelssohn admired her, she avoided him, seemingly afraid of his grotesque hump. On the last day of his visit, he went to tell her goodbye. Her face seemed to beam with beauty, but when he entered, she cast her eyes to the floor. Mendelssohn's heart ached in love for her. After some small talk, he slowly drew to the subject that filled his mind. "Do you believe that marriages are made in heaven?" he asked. "Yes," replied the young woman. "And you?" "Of course," Mendelssohn answered. "I believe that at the birth of each child, the Lord says, 'That boy shall marry that girl.' But in my case, the Lord also added, 'But alas, his wife will have a terrible hump.' At that moment, I called, 'Oh Lord, that would be a tragedy for her. Please give me the humped back, and let her be beautiful.'" And we are told that the young woman was so moved by these words that she reached for Mendelssohn's hand and later became his loving and faithful wife. Now, isn't that a beautiful story? All right, let's hold on to that because we'll come back to it in a few. We want to deal with 3 questions this day. The first question is this: where does love come from? Now, some of you would answer, that's easy. It comes from within. It's something that happens naturally as we mature as human beings. Is that true? I'm not so certain. Little babies are the most lovable creatures in the world, but that doesn't mean that they are born full of love and a kind spirit. Don't let those innocent smiles fool you. If they were that loving and kind, they wouldn't wake you at 4 a.m. demanding to be fed or changed. The truth is that small babies are born totally self-centered. That doesn't mean that they're bad. One man said his 3 children are the best evidence he knows for the doctrine of original sin. Babies aren't by nature bad. They are simply totally helpless. In order to survive in this world, they must make their needs known. If you meet those needs, then a baby will probably grow to love you. But is that really love? We say that children have to be taught to hate, but isn't that true of love as well? Think how difficult it is to teach a child to share. Is it really something that happens naturally? Is it something that comes from within? Or is it something we learn as infants and as children, first of all from our primary caregivers, and then from those around us? And one of my favorites, C.S. Lewis, the famed English scholar, in his study of the various Greek words for love, came to distinguish between what he called need love and gift love. Now, need love should be self-evident. It's the most common kind of love in our world. I love you because you meet my needs. It might be that my self-esteem is boosted when I'm with you, or it might be simply my need to be loved. Most of us have a need for companionship. Need love is always born of emptiness. The person characterized by need love is always grasping to attain from others things or values which he or she covets. Lewis contends that many times when we humans say to another, "I love you," what we are really meaning is, "I need you. I want you. You have a value that I very much desire to make my own, no matter what the consequence may be to you." Now contrast need love with what Lewis calls gift love. Instead of being born of emptiness or lack, this form of loving is born of fullness. The goal of gift love is to enrich. and enhance the person whom we love rather than to extract value from them. Gift love moves out to bless and to increase rather than to acquire or diminish. Gift love is more like a bountiful artesian well that continues to overflow than a vacuum or a black hole. Lewis concludes that is what God's love is all about. In other words, God's love is gift love, not need love. This, of course, is the meaning of agape love. Are we capable of agape love? That is, loving as God loves. To a certain extent we are, but this does not happen naturally for human beings. For us to substitute gift love for need love, we must go to the source of love, and the source of all love is God. Jesus says in our lesson for today, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you." Love then doesn't come from within, it comes from above, unless, of course, God lives within us. Later in his first epistle, John will unpack this truth further when he writes, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God." Where does love come from? It comes from God. John continues, "Everyone who loves has been born of God and known God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." So that is the answer to the first question. Where does love come from? Well, it comes from God. Then John adds, "This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him." This is love. Not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as his atoning sacrifice for our sins. This brings us to our second question for the day. What does love look like? It definitely doesn't look like falling asleep, I'll tell you that much. Okay, all right. What does love look like? This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. I said we return to that beautiful story we began with, the story of Moses Mendelssohn, the small man with the large hump on his back. Remember, he told the girl he loved, "I believe that at the birth of each child, the Lord says, 'That boy shall marry that girl.' But in my case," the Lord also added, "but alas, his wife will have a terrible hump." And at that moment I called, "Oh Lord, that would be a tragedy for her. Please give me the humped back and let her be beautiful." What does love look like? It is like a man taking on a hump on his back so that his beloved can be straight and beautiful. But instead of a hump, let us say, as we think of the message of the gospel, it is like a man who takes a cross upon his shoulder so that you and I might be free from the power of sin and death. Do you hear what I'm saying? Gift love is like a man hanging on a cruel cross simply and solely because of God's love for us. We can't meet any of God's needs or even God's commands. But God's nature is to give love. Or as John writes, this is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love. Not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son and an atoning sacrifice for our sins. What does love look like? It looks like a young guy and a young girl who fell in love, but the guy came from a poor family. The girl's parents weren't too happy about that, so the young man decided not only to court the girl, but to court her parents as well. In time, the parents saw that he was a good man and was worthy of their daughter's hand. But there was another problem. The young man was a soldier. Soon war broke out, and he was being sent overseas for a year. The week before he left, the man knelt on his knee and asked his lady love, "Will you marry me?" She wiped a tear, said yes, and they were engaged. They agreed that when he got back in 1 year, they would get married. But tragedy struck. A few days after he left, the girl had a major car accident. It was a head-on collision. When she awoke in the hospital, she saw her father and mother crying. Immediately, she knew there was something wrong. She later found out that she suffered a brain injury. The part of her brain that controlled her facial muscles was damaged. Her once lovely face was now disfigured. She cried as she saw herself in the mirror. "Yesterday I was beautiful. Today I'm a monster." Her body was also covered with so many ugly wounds. Right then and there, she decided to release her fiancé from their promise. She knew he wouldn't want her anymore. She would forget about him and never see him again. For 1 year, the soldier wrote many letters, but she wouldn't answer. He phoned her many times, but she wouldn't return his calls. But after 1 year, The mother walked into her room and announced, "He's back from the war." The girl shouted, "No, please don't tell him about me. Don't tell him I'm here." The mother said, "He's getting married," and handed her a wedding invitation. The girl's heart sank. She knew she still loved him, but she had to forget him now. With great sadness, she opened the wedding invitation, and then she saw her name on it. Confused, she asked, "What is this?" That was when the young man entered the room with a bouquet of flowers. He knelt beside her and asked, "Will you marry me?" The girl covered her face with her hands and said, "I'm ugly." The young man said, "Without your permission, your mother sent me your photos. When I saw your photos, I realized that nothing has changed. You're still the person I fell in love with. You're still as beautiful as ever, because I love you." It's a beautiful story. Where does love come from? It comes from God. We cannot make ourselves ugly enough that God will not love us. What does love look like? It looks like a man nailed to a cross. Not because of anything we can do for him, but simply because he loves us so much. And that brings us to the final thing to be said about love today. Where does love come from? What does love look like? The third question is, what does such love require from us? Jesus answers that question in our text. "My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends. If you do what I command, I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command: love each other." We don't often think of Jesus issuing commands, but he does here. "This is my command," Jesus says here. Love each other. We are to love others as he has loved us, not with need love, but with gift love. Not because of anything they can do for us, but because of what Christ has done for us. The world says, "Scratch my back and I'll scratch yours." Christ says, do good for people who are incapable of doing anything for you in return. Doing good for others without expecting anything in return. Being men and women for others. That is gift love, agape love. It is the love of God. Amen. There was a touching true story in the Nashville, Tennessee newspaper by health reporter Tom Wildman that was about the kind of love God asks out of us. It was about a young woman working out at a local YMCA. She was withering away because before their eyes, begins the story. The other Y members watched her slog through marathon workouts every weekday morning, her emaciated body leaning on the rails of the Stairmaster. They knew something was wrong. As the other Y members watched her decline, they wondered what to do. Was she anorexic, or was she suffering from some other medical condition? They didn't want to make her feel awkward or to violate her privacy, but they finally decided something had to be done. 9 of them decided to stage an intervention. Though she had struggled with eating disorders since the age of 10, Lauren Lax, the young woman, didn't realize how sick she was and resisted the help of strangers. It felt like a bit of a kidnapping, she said, said one of the 9. It was a horrible experience for every single one of us and for her. They took her to a hospital, and it was a good thing they did. If they'd waited much longer, Lauren would have died. Anorexia nervosa had weakened her to the point that her heart was struggling to beat. Doctors thought they might have to implant a pacemaker. "I didn't know these people," Lauren said. She had seen them as mere acquaintances. Now she calls them her angels. Today, Lauren is healthy and hopeful enough about her future that she has been able to complete her graduate studies at Nashville University. Now, that's what love requires out of us, that we be like Lauren's angels, taking God's love to people who are troubled, who have no one else to care. Where does love come from? It comes from God alone. What does it look like? It looks like a man hanging on a cross in our behalf. What does love require out of us? It requires us to move beyond need love to gift love, to look around at others who are in need of God's love and to give it to them, not asking what they can do for us, but remembering what Christ has done for us, truly being men and women for others. This is my command, Jesus said to his disciples, and also to us. Love each other. Amen.
Amen.
Just on a little side note here, today is, we're celebrating something called Pluralism Sunday. Pluralism Sunday. Does anybody know what pluralism means? Okay, it does have something to do with that, with multiple things.
Connecting different religions with the same base premise.
Okay, say that again a little bit louder.
Connecting multiple religions and spiritual practices under the same principle.
Very good. It has to do with, it's very close. Yes, that's about right. It's talking about celebrating the many paths to God. And we talk about this all the time here. All paths lead to God. There are many diverse paths that lead to many different mansions in his kingdom, right? And we talk about it all the time. We never really named it pluralism. And I'd actually not heard this term until recently. So, I mean, honestly, I hadn't. But it's a good one. And all around the country, all around the world today, churches are celebrating pluralism. There's a little bit of some changes in our service day. You'll notice we lit the candle with a different prayer today. Later on, I will read the Our Father in Aramaic. There's some special things in our bulletin here about. There's some quotes. One from the Pope saying, "We must meet one another doing good. But I don't believe, Father. I am an atheist. But do good. We will meet one another there." See, another one here is every religion emphasizes human improvement, love, respect for others, sharing others people's sufferings. On these lines, every religion had more or less the same viewpoints and the same goal. That's from the 14th Dalai Lama. So what we're talking about here is the same thing I said last week. Look at the religions. Look at them. Look at the message that they're trying to portray. They're all the same. They're all really meaning the same thing. And for us to fight each other on this is semantics. We're calling it the same God by a different name. So what? He doesn't care. Do good in your life. Live Christ-like lives. That's what he wants. And to love one another, that's part of it. I mean, obviously, if you're really Christ-like, you're going to love, right? Okay. We're going to get a little more about that in the roundtable today. We'll talk more about pluralism and whatnot. We are members of the progressive Christianity movement. And it's just taking things a little further and not being so stagnant and stuck in the past back here where thinking was very closed-minded. We have to open our hearts a little bit and understand and be able to kind of step out of it a little bit and go, the Bible's not quite so finite as the people say it is. I mean, let's open up a little bit. We're all humans. He created us all. Obviously, give everybody a chance. Okay, just listen to what they're saying. So, we got written up on their website this week for celebrating and participating in Pluralism Sunday this Sunday. So
I'm sorry. Every time I hear you say "written up," I think of like a negative, like a.
I guess it's a journalism term that we use. I mean, when we say written up, it means it means that they wrote it. They wrote us an article about us or something.
We have a blurb in
a blurb. We have a blurb. Hey, it was nice though. Everything helps. So, all right, guys, let's rise and confess our sins. All right, announcements. Okay, typical announcements.
Ron's been getting a lot more sleep lately.
Yeah, but we just have to worry about doing that during regular hours now, so that during the daytime hours when we need you for church, we have you, right? I swear you rubbed off on him.
I will admit I was a little bit tired today, but I mean.
Well, the allergies are going around, guys. I mean, it's bad out there. So I do the best I can. I've got we did have the doors open. We had the doors open, but I've got the special filter back there to help filter everything out. And it's
I was also doing a bunch of different stuff last night as well on the computers and whatnot.
And then, but next time we'll do instead of doing those, we'll do the bulletin better, right?
I had thought that I had done.
There's the problem. You thought.
Yeah.
I'm just playing with you. Hey,
It humbles,
we're mistakes.
It reminds me.
Yes.
Of what needs to be done.
That's right.
More important.
And to be double checked.
Yeah.
Always double check.
And that's the thing is that now we've got the time. We're both going to read through the bulletin.
Right.
A little bit
Absolutely.
more.
I should have caught that I did not during the last time. I should have, but I did not.
It is what it is.
So it is what it is. It happened. We got through it, and that's fine. We praised the Lord and received His communion, and now we'll talk about it.
A reminder of us being human and whatnot.
Hey, like I said, if it was the same way every time, and you had it perfect every time, it'd be pretty
so
boring. It'd be boring.
Individual.
Hey, you never know what you're going to get here at Dallas Universal Life Church.
Nope.
Come on in and check us out, right? All right.
Podcast.
We have a podcast.
We're online on YouTube.
Let me tell you, this podcast is kicking my you-know-what. Because it took me almost 2.5 days to do the editing for our YouTube and our podcast this week. It was tough because we're using a new microphone, a new sound system and whatnot, so it all has to match up. Plus, we're using a new software that I'm trying to learn at the same time, and it's just like...
But the fact you have the audacity to do such...
Audacity?
The audacity that you have to do such, it just shows that, our church is such an individual type of church.
The audacity. Okay. Well, we'll go with that. Okay.
Audacity's not a bad thing.
Audacity's a good program.
Yeah. Well, and that's also a program. What do you know?
Face palm. Oh my god, that... Womp womp.
What? Oh yeah, we have a podcast. It's Your Path.
I've always said you have plenty of audacity.
I do have plenty of audacity. That's the one
We
thing.
need a pit orchestra with an attention.
They've got they got sound effects you can just put right on the computer and you just hit a button and it makes it.
I've only got 2 arms and 1 brain. I can only do so much with the limited resources.
Yes. Hey, I do the best I can over here.
Oh.
All right. Your Path with Bishop Mark. That's Your Path. Darling, are you having trouble
my
standing?
shoelaces were... Okay, I'm fine.
Okay. Your Path with Bishop Mark. We're on 4 different places, so you don't have an excuse not to hear us. And guys, if you haven't done it yet, listen to it because it's different. It's different listening to the podcast than watching it on YouTube. It's totally different.
Totally.
And even if you're doing something else, it's very much an absorption by
Yeah,
osmosis.
you put it. I mean, I do it all the time here. Y'all know that. I mean, poor Ronnie hears the sermon probably 30 times during the week because I put it on in the background. Because believe it or not, it does help me. I mean, I hear it, and it's I'm
You hear it differently
every time. Every time you hear something new. That's the idea. So, anyway, yeah, Your Path with Bishop Mark, and we're still getting hits on it. It's still doing well. So we're doing fine with that.
It's doing better than what we expected.
But I still have empty seats in here.
Well, when summer comes around, the AC's blowing. They're gonna have no.
I can't do this by myself. I'm only one person, and I'm pushing the limits. So is Justin over here. We're pushing the limits on ourselves. We need you, and we need your help, and you too, Munchkin. Thank you. He's ready to go potty, I think. Okay. All right. So please bring somebody to church. Please bring somebody to church. Please bring somebody to church.
Not the crazy lady down the street.
You can bring her, please.
Okay.
We're open to everybody.
The door is open.
The door's
to
open.
Everyone.
Until you make a fool of yourself and are no longer welcome here.
And even then, we might just.
We
let
might
you
forgive
back on
you.
in.
That's right. Forgive us.
God loves everyone.
As long as you can, not disrupt us and hopefully we'll get something out of what we're giving here. Who am I to say you can't come in here? Because this isn't my home at this point. This is God's house. And I had to give that up.
Yep.
And if we can just find a new place for God, I'm getting tired of him. He's eating all my food. I tell you, he keeps using all my hot water.
Amen.
And he talks to himself all night long, answering prayers and stuff. I'm telling you, Lord, I love you, but it's time to move on. Find your new place. Okay.
Oh, Pastor.
I know it. I got it today. All right. Deep breath on that one. Go now in the love of our God. What'd you like? What'd you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? I can think of things to get rid of. Okay. So today is Pluralism Sunday. And Ronnie, you described pluralism very well. Did anyone take a chance to look at the website, at the Facebook this week? I posted a video that's about an hour long, and it's a video about pluralism. If you didn't get a chance to read it, which obviously, or watch it, obviously none of you did, but if you didn't get a chance to watch it, please take a chance, if you take some time, if you can, in the next week, and take a look at it. It was, there's not many things that I watch anymore like that really grab my attention. I mean, really. And I'm not one known to take notes on things. Well, I sat there and took notes from this guy. I thought it was very, very well done. Interesting concept, and really a lot of it is what we're doing here. We're already doing it, and I didn't even realize it, of course. But great minds think alike. No, I'm just kidding. So it's just what we believe. I mean, it's what we are and who we are as a church. And I think it really answers a lot of those questions that we have, as that are maybe open ended. And those. Well, if we're this, and how can we do and this, and how can we be like this, and if we're like this, it's all answered there. And it's good. It's a good video, so you might take a look at it. But pluralism. So a lot of the other churches in the world today are celebrating Pluralism Sunday, which basically we're saying that all paths lead to God. And we say that all the time. God doesn't discriminate. God created you. Why would He want you to fail? He loves us. He gave His Son for us. And when you talk about the different religions are some things we created. I mean, that's something, that structure we created to be able to call things names so that we can remember them and understand them and,
just try to understand.
Right, because everything has to have a name for us. I mean, this is the way our brain works.
Yeah.
So understand that, in the world, people have evolved different ways with those religions, but they all still go one place. It's all just, we're all teaching the same lesson here.
Why would He give us the different paths just to cut us off at the end of the gate?
Look, I've said it before. I mean, live your life. Live a good life. Live righteously. You know that between right and wrong.
Well, just like in our readings today, this is the ultimate thing that Jesus said was love me, love thy neighbor. You're good to go. Just about at that point. Follow my command.
You know what got me today in the sermon? I mean, in the reading the most was, you are now my friend.
Yeah.
My friend.
You're no longer my slave.
My friend.
I'm telling you.
That's amazing that Jesus Christ calling us His friend. Man, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So y'all talk to me. What do you think? What about today? About love. We talked about love today, and we love is what God is, and we like I said at the beginning of the sermon. That's what we strive to. Every day is about love. I mean, every sermon should be about love. Everything about church is about love, because that's what we're here for. Right? I mean, we're here because of God's love, and we're trying to love Him back. So we've talked about love. We had some great stories in there. We're talking about pluralism, which all ties in together. Believe it or not, this love of others. Love others. It says right there on the front of your bulletin. Love others. Well, that means love everybody. Love others. All religions, all nationalities. You love others. So, what do y'all think about that? Give me some ideas. I mean, where are y'all on the thoughts of that?
I'm all for it.
There you go. Enough said. We're done. Right?
Yeah.
That's simple.
I mean, one thing that people I think often get confused on is they only want to concentrate on the good parts of love. Maybe they want to say that love.
Well, not necessarily. Think about all the torch songs out there, but a tear in my beer.
but they're denigrating love at that point. They're saying, "Oh, that's bad" or whatever.
Love does hurt at times.
Love is also punishment. Love is telling you you've done wrong.
Is it?
And to help you out of that wrong,
or to let you learn from your mistakes,
right?
Because we're all hard-headed and think that just because somebody else has been through it and they did this, that, and the other, and it's not going to happen to me. Well, yeah,
I don't have to listen at all.
Yeah, it is.
I know better.
I know better. We do the same thing with God. He tells us one thing and we go, "Oh, please, I know better. I'll be fine."
And you oftentimes don't even realize it. Sometimes you don't even realize that
He gave you every message in the world to stop doing what you're doing,
and you don't even know to listen. Sometimes
that's the point. That's the point about that I try and get into instilling you guys is you should always be listening, and you got to train yourselves. Like I said last week, I talked about God can pull me by the ear anytime and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Mm-hmm. He doesn't mince words either. I'll tell you that much. I don't listen all the time. I don't. I'll be the first to say it. I'm human. I don't listen all the time.
You'll see the nudges that don't mean that you see.
Nudges, hell, he slaps me in the face sometimes. Today
was a little bit, yeah.
Today was a little more. Be prepared, I think.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Period. And that's the Scout motto, which is no longer the Boy Scouts. It's now the Scouts BSA.
Yeah.
Scouts BSA.
What's the BSA?
Well, that's their incorporation is Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they didn't go with American Scouts or Scouts of America or something like that. But
Eagles.
Scouts, BSA, that's what they are. Because now they allow females.
It's a modern firm.
So that's not no longer the Boy
They
Scouts.
cling to the Boy Scouts of America as a system.
Yeah, they kept that. I mean, I think to change the incorporation, everything would be a real
Yeah, because I mean,
mess.
that's a lot of money.
But-
Period. And then
Scouts BSA is what they are. Yeah, just throwing a little nod to what they were.
Yeah.
I don't know.
it is what it is.
I disagree with the mingling there. I think that there is.
There's a point-
and not because of any sexual reason or anything like that. The reason I say that is the same reason I say for Jesuit being an all boys school. It takes away that
that extra.
thing you don't need when you're trying to learn something. You're there for a reason. You're not there to court and to date and to show off. And that's not what you're there for. You're there for other reasons.
Because even when you're gay, you don't. I don't think.
No, it's not the same. No, I mean, if you're not there, I mean, yeah,
you come up.
I mean, things happen, but
Yeah, well, there's a
But the point is, no. For the most part,
Yeah.
you're there, and you're not there looking at other guys that way.
Yeah.
You're there working
Yeah,
because they're not looking at you that way. So
No.
it's not. You're not showing off for anybody. You're not doing that. And that's what the big thing is. That's how fights. There's always fights in schools and things. Because what does it always come out to? Showing off for the girl,
They gotta-
right?
they gotta-
Or you looked at my girl, or you did that. Come on.
Yeah.
We didn't have that at Jesuit.
No.
We didn't have fights like that at Jesuit. We had fights. There were fights every now and then.
Because you were boys.
Look at your boys, and your testosterone's running through your veins like crazy.
You got grab ass games, or whatever, but that's nothing compared to like
And
a sexual assault case when
Right.
you do that with a female. Though,
Right.
and that's some of the downsides with the commingling is
It is.
There's a
And,
bunch
we should be able to handle that, but in adolescence, come on.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
and then not to say for the Girl Scouts what's going to happen.
And the Girl Scouts are probably going to
go.
end up going bankrupt and be or just disband.
And
that's sad.
The cookies are all we got
That's-
going, really.
They're sad.
That's upsetting. Just for the cookies alone.
I don't agree with the decision. I think that it's a step in the wrong direction. I think you had two very good organizations who were doing very good jobs.
They could have.
and because
they could have
in
worked
the name of
together in some
equality,
places.
they opened it up to everybody, and that's fine. But they've done is
They could have done it in a way where they worked together as a group and still had their separate.
they didn't.
But-
And it's too
So
bad.
they didn't ask us.
The Boy Scouts of America are no longer. Scouts BSA.
The world keeps on turning.
This is where I'm coming to. Get off my lawn.
As the world turns.
I feel old when we talk about things like that, and But this one, I think I have a valid point. I mean, I do. I mean, just it'd be like taking Jesuit and making it co-ed. It just would not work. The way, I mean, it would work. They would make it work.
And you and
but
your,
it's not the same.
And you and your opinions are.
Hey.
Once you've got them, you're.
No, I will listen.
You'll listen.
I will listen.
You'll listen to him, and you'll
And
listen
at
to
times I will
opinions.
change. At times I will. There's been very rarely that I will change my opinion when it's something strong like that. But I will listen. And I do try and keep an open mind as best I
Yeah.
can. But when I make it a formed opinion that strongly,
Yeah.
I've usually
You've
thought
done
about
research
it. I've
and-
thought about it, and I've prayed about it, and I've done my part
Yeah.
to get that opinion. It's not. I don't just do it on a whim. So if I don't know enough about it, I really don't. Why would I have a strong opinion about it?
Exactly.
I mean, if I don't know enough about it, I don't really care enough about it. So.
Not to mention, you don't want to spread wrong information
I don't.
and everything else.
I don't. I want people to do right.
'Cause,
And
I mean-
I want people, and that's why I try to do right. I don't always. That's why I say don't follow me. Don't do as I do.
Do as
But
I say.
listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what I should be doing.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm not a holy leader. I'm not the Pope. He's not even perfect. I'm just
A messenger.
somebody trying to show you what I've seen, and maybe you'll learn something from it, and not have to. I mean, parents say the same thing. You don't have to go through the same thing I went through. Just listen to me. Well, 90% of no, usually don't listen. That's the problem. But just, I think some of it soaks in. I do. I think some of it soaks in. You guys have changed a lot since we started this church. You'll have, and lots happened in that time too in our lives and everything. That's part of life. But you've changed. A lot of things for the better. Some things for the worse, but a lot of things for the better. So, and that's a good thing.
Kind of, that's
If
life.
I could just
it
get
is.
you to bring somebody to church and stop being so ashamed of me, I'd be happy.
It's not bad.
What is it? Why aren't you bringing anybody to church?
Because they don't come.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Christianity and religion and all this Bible thumping and all that, they don't want to hear all that.
Then you throw in the apartment and all this other stuff.
And it's an apartment, yeah, and we don't have a place yet.
Now, if you had a builder and some free food on Sunday and a hot guy coming up there saying, come on down.
I'm trying. I am trying. Look, right now in the city of Dallas, it is a boom as far as real estate goes. There's just nothing, and the prices are going up and up and up.
We've got the highest rate of inflation for real estate in the whole country right now.
And I can't compete with that. I'm trying to find us something.
Well, I think just wait 5 or 10 years, it'll all come crashing down once
we're
again.
Not sitting here for 5 or 10 years. No. We'll find a parking lot somewhere before that. A tent. We'll do revivals. Something else.
We've got a couple awnings in my house that I can bring over.
I just had this horrible vision of us doing that in the spring and like a tornado coming through.
I'll be cutting over a table with my computers and everything else. Oh.
I just got this vision of that happening. I was like, oh, Lord. And that was him saying, no, that's not a good idea. That's not really a good idea. Let's stay out of that one. So love.
Honestly, one of the stories kind of... I was a little annoyed with the girl who was in the accident. Only because... Yeah, you had that the disfigured face, but who were you to think that he would not still love you? Why?
Well, what would you do? Think about that.
I would be embarrassed, but at the same time, I wouldn't completely shut someone out just because of that person.
I think that the point was she was doing it out of love. It wasn't doing it out of spite or anything. She was doing it out of saying, look.
Well, I guess
you have a commitment to me, but I'm not going to make you. I won't make you keep that commitment because I love you and I want you to be happy.
But at the same time,
she assumed things not in evidence,
right?
That's
still negating that love by not having that conversation.
You're right. But she was,
and that's the sign of the times today is the fact that I assumed that it was vanity versus love as well.
And I think that really she was just saying, look, I want you to be happy, and I don't think you deserve to be with a beautiful woman, and I'm not that anymore, even though she really was. Because beauty, A, is in the eye of the beholder, and B is much more than skin deep.
Yeah.
I mean, that beauty is from within.
And I mean, if he came back and he was just like, oh, no, you kind of knew who he was at that point anyways. Might as well get that out of the way ahead of time.
Give me the hump, but don't give her the hump.
I like that one too.
I loved that one. That one I actually teared up a bit the first time you read it. That was, even though I read it before.
That was kind of selfish.
That was
but in a good.
It was unselfish.
Well, give me the hump. I can't have her looking all tore up when I'm walking down the
That's
street.
not what he was saying.
But that was implied.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't. It was not implied at all. He was saying, I'm taking her hardship away from her. I will bear the hardship so that she can live a much happier life and be normal.
Because he totally understood how hard that was. Because he lived it himself.
Imagine that.
I guess so.
We all have our hardships. We all have our things we don't like about ourselves that we wish we could get rid of. What if somebody came along and said, I'll take that away from you because I love you?
I mean, we've all had those moments where something just lifted.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that you didn't realize you weren't breathing before.
It gets thick down there, isn't it? You think everything's fine and dandy and you're just moving along and la-di-da, and then all of a sudden you're just like, yeah.
It either comes or it goes, or...
But love.
Unfettered, unending love.
I mean, agape love. That's what I'm talking about. Agape love.
I love that water.
Okay.
Agave water, I'm sorry.
2 different things. Agape love. Love from God. God's love. Being what we talk about every week, being men and women for others. That's agape love. You're not asking for anything in return. You don't expect anything in return. They can't give you anything. They have nothing you want. They have nothing except for their love in return, their graciousness and their gratitude.
Maybe not even that.
Sometimes not even that. A lot of times, no. You'll do something for somebody and they're jerks about it. But you know what? You did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You move on. Gratitude is never enough when it comes to giving of yourself. It never is. But that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you love that person, because you love others, because you want to give for others. You want to be a man and woman for others. Does that make sense now? Are things starting to kind of come together about, we talk about this every week and things keep kind of intersecting. We talked about the different faiths and whatnot. Here it is today. It's Pluralism Sunday. We're talking about love and Pluralism Sunday, and those are starting to intersect. Things are starting to weave together into something we call our faith, our religion, right? And that's how it happens, right?
Every Sunday really should be Pluralism Sunday, but
It absolutely should be. And that's what I said, with that little blurb that was the thing. I said we strive to practice pluralism throughout the year.
and that's one of the main reasons I even started coming here was you talking about your thoughts on all of that.
And I believe that's true. And that's why, yes, we're a Christian church. No doubt about it.
But that door is open.
The door's open to
every single
everybody,
person.
and so is communion.
Yeah.
Period.
If
You come in, and just because I'm saying things in a Christian manner or with a Christian name on it, with Christ's name on it, doesn't mean you can't take a lesson from it and learn from it. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. It doesn't matter what the name is on there, what name you're using, what it's the lesson. That's what the Bible's about. What are you learning from it? It has nothing to do with whether it happened or not, or whether this name was that name, or this person did that. Look, what's the lesson? What are they trying to teach you?
Love me, love thy neighbor.
That's the most important part, and we get so caught up.
Well, I mean, there's a reason that the words don't have just a singular definition in the dictionary. The words aren't just this narrow-minded definition.
The English language is worse at that. I mean,
Yeah.
the English language is one of the most boring ones because it has a lot of set definitions. When you look at Aramaic, you look at Greek, you look at Hebrew, look at Japanese or Mandarin. They're all different meanings for the same word, right? So it's got to be in context, first of all. You take things out of context all the time. People like to use things out of context, especially in the English language with translations of the Bible. They have to take this little part and go, see? I mean, the whole thing is, no, that's not what it said. We love that quote thing. Let's quote this part, and that makes it simple. That proves the point. No, it doesn't.
John 3:16. That's all we're ever going to talk about.
Give me a break.
But that's what I love about words is that just because you've always seen it this one way, but then you can say it just a slight difference is a completely different feeling.
I'm not even saying it differently. Sometimes it's the exact same sounding word. It's just the context that it's said.
And so there's no point in taking the word Christianity and then immediately shutting down from that.
And the problem is,
Christianity
the
is
reason
not
because of that is
just-
because people have shoved it down people's throats and told them they were sinners and told them how awful they were and told them how wrong they were and judged them. Well, you know what? That's not our job. Our job is to welcome these people and let God do the judging. Let Him deal with that.
Let him do the loving.
And the loving. We have a lot to give.
Even when we think we got nothing, we still have something.
Believe me, guys, y'all teach me every week. this part of the service, I can't live without it. I really can't, because I get so much out of it every week because of y'all's feedback, the way y'all talk back to me, the way we get into things, the way the discussions we have. I mean, I learn a bunch, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I came up with the idea to do this, or God put the idea in my head, or whatever happened. But then we have this roundtable. And I look forward to that every single week. Not that I'm looking forward to the other part of the service. I think it's wonderful. But this is the part that I really enjoy. So, okay. It's a topic it's a big topic, but there's not a lot to say on it.
It's kind of self-explanatory when you're in the heart of it. When you're a spiritual practicer or a follower in some type of.
But how do we do it more? How do we show that agape love more? That's the question. We know what it is.
We do it. We're doing it right now.
Okay, right now, but when we leave here.
To try just to sit there and to try to think of some random
hard, isn't it?
person.
It's hard.
With the same love that you think of a family member.
It's hard.
It's a weird, earlier I had that weird feeling of just some random stranger popped in my head and trying to attribute that level of love, whether it was strange.
It's almost impossible because we're not made that way.
I think we use it more sacred terms, like when we assign a title, and we try to use the agape love.
Mm-hmm.
It's like taking off the mom, the dad, the friend, and the best friend, and the ex-best friend.
You're just saying human.
Agape.
Right.
Agape, yeah.
Because you do love, at one point, that person at that same caliber, but through circumstances which, unlike with God, there's not any circumstances, they kind of level off and taper, and so you still love that person, but you won't admit that it's agape. It's that conditional love that you have.
Right, that conditional love is the problem. I mean, it's love. It's still love.
Yeah.
But that's what we're designed. I mean, you grow up as a baby, you love your mom and dad because of your mom and dad because they took care of you, right?
What did you call it?
You start to hate them.
Well, that's a different story.
What was it? They called it need love.
Need love and
Gift.
Gift love.
Back to our first.
I liked how he talked about the infants and all that other
Yeah.
stuff. That was a great.
It's a good way to look at it.
'Cause most
We learn a
of-
lot from the way we learn things. That's how we learn things.
Because
you
most
know?
everyone will like take like racism, and most everyone takes. Well, if you just put two toddlers together, doesn't matter what color they're going to
It's right
play.
there.
But then at the same time, the very next moment they're going to be pulling each other's hair and whatnot. And you never know.
That's just
That's,
yeah.
that is the unadulterated person.
From our very first service, a Christmas 2 years ago. I talked about the first thing I talked about was giving without expecting something in return. That's what it's about. It's about gifting, not getting. It's about gifting. That's what Christmas was about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? That's what life is about. It's about gifting. It's about gifting without expecting anything in return. So it's gifting, not getting. You have to be unselfish here, because when you realize that when you do that, I mean, it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next week, it may not happen next year, but it comes back to you. And usually, and multiplied many times over, that you get back what you give in. Mm-hmm. Don't expect anything in return. Don't do things because you want something back. Don't do things because you want them to do this or want that. Do things because you want to, because they deserve it, because you want to give it to them, because they're a human being, because they need it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. Hard as hell to do. I mean, we work hard for our money. We work hard to keep our refrigerator stocked with food.
We like our plans and our rigid.
And when you get up the next day and your house guest has cleaned out all your leftover from the day before you were going to have for lunch today, it's hard not to get mad at them. Because I didn't give it to him to begin with. Agape.
As long as he's laughing about it, he's at least not going to kill you. Yeah.
It's just, when I know that I mean, come on, look. I didn't go bite something off in my food, because I just don't do that. I don't have that capability. So when I see two big teeth marks in my food, I know that I didn't do that.
The mic has been dropped. The lights have been turned off.
Guys, it's been real. Do you have anything else for me?
I think this has been the realest.
Do you have anything for me?
Roundtables.
Do you have anything else for me besides agape? Because that's all I can ask for.
No, sir.
Next Sunday is, I believe, is it next Sunday that it's Ascension Thursday? Yeah, next Sunday is Monday, Thursday. So next Sunday is Ascension. The Ascension actually is Thursday. Okay, the Ascension
Yes,
occurs on Thursday. I
Ascension
know
is
I couldn't beg y'all to come on Thursday, so we're not going to try it. So we're doing what a lot of other churches do. We're going to move and celebrate the Ascension on Sunday.
Ascension, 7th Sunday of Easter, and Mother's Day as well.
Right, so next week is also Mother's Day.
Could be bittersweet for you.
It's a tough one for both of us.
Yeah.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
They'll be here.
Well,
Mom will be here. Mom was already here today. She, it was funny. I was in the back listening to some music before service, and somebody said something, and it made me. Somebody was talking about somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
How pretty their eyes were. The one thing I can say about my stepfather, he had gorgeous ice blue eyes. They were stunning. They were
That is so weird. Those are my grandfather's.
ice blue, beautiful eyes. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he and I had our differences, but he had those eyes, and they just were stunning. And somebody said something about the eyes, and the first thing that came in my head was him. I actually thought about him, and immediately when I thought about him, Ave Maria came on the radio back there, which was my mother's song.
Yeah.
Which she always said from day one, "That's the song you're going to play at my funeral," which we did.
Yeah.
We actually had a singer come in and sing it at her funeral. So I knew that Mom was here. That's what I said. I said, "Hi, Mom." Were you right there when I said that?
No, I must have. I
was-
heard something from back
I
there.
said, "Hi, Mom." Yeah, 'cause there are no coincidences.
Yeah.
And
No.
for me to be thinking about Daryl, and for then Mom's song to come on, I mean, come on.
yeah.
Obviously. So watch for those signs. Be open to those things. They're not trying to be distant from you. They're trying to be around you still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just know that they're here. As long as they're here.
Why not just bathe in it whenever it happens? Why not?
I did.
You know,
Yeah.
I did.
It's
a
you
personal
know
thing.
what?
It's not
It's
like a communion shower thing. It's when you take your own bubble bath and you soak it in. You take your candles, and it's a personal type of.
I don't even think of it that way. Here's what I think of when my mother comes around me and I feel her. I can smell my mother again. I can smell her skin.
Really.
I can smell her hair, and I can feel her. It's something that I thought I would never have again. It's something. In fact, there's a poem that I wrote the night of her funeral. Some of you have read. called This Place, and it talks about never ever having those things again. Let me tell you something. You can have them. It's not the same, but it's as best as we're going to get right now. So.
He's not expecting to tear that.
There's a place that your memory and your brain holds those scents and those smells and those
the olfactory system
smell.
is amazing. We don't use it near enough. I mean, the memories that can be jarred from a smell are amazing. I mean, your brain can just go crazy on different smells.
It's the strongest.
And you may not even be able to identify what the smell is. You just smell it, and it's.
That's the weirdest thing with me. There's this weird smell that comes up about once or twice a year that I have no clue why. It's such a strong
Start thinking about it.
moment, but it's fleeting. There's no memory tied to it. It's just it sits in there,
Interesting.
and it's just like it feels like I'm back in childhood almost. It's very strange.
That's just going to get more and more as you get older, by the way.
but that scent is not actually tied to anything.
It is. It is. You just don't know it.
know what it is yet.
You're not connecting it yet. You will.
It's very weird wherever it comes up.
Oh, you're making my mind flood with things right now. All right, next Sunday, 3:00, Ascension Thursday. What does Ascension mean?
It's when you rose to heaven.
What happened on the Ascension Day?
Flame. No, the flame was afterwards.
It's afterwards. What happens on the Ascension? Jesus Christ and his what? His body, his actual body, are lifted into the skies, into heaven. He ascends into heaven. We say it all day. We say it every week in our creed, right?
That would be amazing to see something like that.
Once you see the poster.
Oh, well,
I'm going to actually put it up today, so if y'all stick around, you'll see it.
Poster's
All right, guys. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
So somebody's got to help me with this time, so I don't be...